Each year, Open Doors publishes what is known as the World Watch List. It is the list of the 50 countries where the persecution of Christians is most severe. I am now connected with Iliad Jadi from Niger. You are the representative, the chief analyst for Sub-Saharan Africa. What exactly does this entail?
When we talk about Sub-Saharan Africa, we mean all the countries located below Sahara Desert. So it's a vast geographical area stretching from Senegal in the west to Somalia, Djibouti in the east, and going down to Mozambique, South Africa. So covering all this large area.
And as the chief analyst for the World Watch List, what exactly is the scope of your work?
We do monitoring of the trends, so what's happening on the ground and how it's affecting people on daily lives, and particularly the religious minority, the Christians there. And we can see that from what we observe through our visit, through the data we gathered, that radical Islam is taking over now in many countries, and this is one of the main source of persecution for Christians there.
So when you speak about Christian minorities, you come from a country, Niger, where Christianity is a minority. What is the percentage of Christians and what is the situation in your own country?
Well, Niger is a predominantly Muslim country where the statistic about religion is just 1%. Christians form a tiny minority, about 1%. So it's really, you can see, a very tiny minority. And this is also the situation in across the Sahel countries. In Mali, in Burkina Faso, Christians are the minority.
However, there is a country with even a Christian majority, Nigeria. However, Nigeria is a country which is most affected by Christian persecution. How can this be explained?
Well, Nigeria, when we talk about Nigeria, we need to consider two things, because Nigeria is a divided country along religious line. The north is predominantly Muslim and the south is predominantly Christians. So when we talk about the persecution of Christians, we are talking about what is happening in northern Nigeria, where in the 2000s, all the 12 states in northern Nigeria adopted Sharia law. So these states are under Sharia law. Christians living there are living in area under Sharia law. And from 2019, we have seen an upsurge of Islamic insurgency led by a group called Boko Haram. So for 12 years now, this group is waging an Islamist insurgency. So it's affecting the northeastern Nigeria. And in recent years, there's an explosion of violence affecting north central, northwest, but also central Nigeria. And that's why the combination of all these factors now are making Nigeria the most violent country to be a Christian in Africa.
In the current issue of the World Watch List, Nigeria has 87 points, up from 85 percentage points. Now, 87 percentage points for persecution are given in many areas: family, private life, civil life, and also for violence. What are the most severe problems Christians are facing in Nigeria and those affected regions?
Well, like I said, northern Nigeria, 12 states, all in northern Nigeria are under Sharia law since 2000. And because of that, Christians living there are denied their rights. They are under pressure. They are on daily basis, they are facing discriminations in terms of access to basics like education. When Christian children, they are discriminated. Access to healthcare, they are discriminated. Access to jobs, when they are Christians, young graduate Christians, they don't have job because they are Christians. And we can see also the gender dimension of that persecution, how vulnerable young girls, women, because they are Christians, they can be kidnapped, forcibly converted to Islam, and forcibly married to Muslim men. This is happening in northern in Nigeria. So there's a widespread of impunity, which is fueling that pressure and that persecution of Christians living there. In addition to that, northeastern Nigeria is under Islamist insurgency for 12 years now. It's violent, it's very deadly. Before churches attacked and burnt down, Christian community attacked and many killed. That is happening in northern Nigeria.
One of the special problems that has been reported in the latest issue of the World Watch List is the destruction of churches. This went from 270 incidents last year or the year before to 470 in this last reporting period.
There's an explosion of violence. First, from radical Islamists, so from Boko Haram, which now is divided into two. There's one still called Boko Haram, but there's another wing linked to Islamic State called Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP, in Nigeria. So because of that, they have increased the violence and attack towards Christians. And there's also this explosion of violence. Banditry is taking place and expanding in northern Nigeria, affecting communities in north central Nigeria, northwest, but also in the central Nigeria, the area called Middle Belt of Nigeria. So there's an increase of violence and increase of destructions and killing.
What are the other countries in sub-Saharan Africa that are most affected?
Well, since the killing of the NATO intervention, military intervention of the West in Libya in 2011, and the killing of President Gaddafi, this military intervention has transformed Libya into a safe haven for terrorists, for jihadists. And this situation is fueling violence across Africa. So the first country to be affected by this situation was Mali in 2012, which opened doors to Islamist groups to run over northern Mali, now central Mali, and the situation in Mali is affecting other countries. Burkina Faso is deeply affected, one of the most vulnerable, one of the most affected by this violence. And we can see that how this insurgency has transformed the situation in the Burkina Faso into a major humanitarian catastrophe in Burkina Faso. In Burkina Faso alone, 1.5 million people are internally displaced in Burkina Faso.
What is it like to be a Christian if you live in Eritrea? Can you just give us an example how daily life happens and how Christians can get together? How can they live under such circumstances? Eritrea is currently number 6 on the World Watch List.
Well, Eritrea is called the North Korea of Africa. It means a lot in terms of how difficult it is to be a Christian. There's no freedom of conscience, freedom of religion. So Christians has to adopt a very low profile. And we have heard the testimonies, the data of Christians kidnapped, eventually put into detention center. That's the reality regardless the denomination, regardless which church they belong to. That's the situation. It's a political pressure affecting religious minority or religion in Eritrea. That's why it's called the North Korea of Africa.
If we could ask persecuted Christians, what can we in the West do for them? What would they answer?
First, we would expect the churches, the audience in West to be aware of what is happening. Because this is a dramatic situation happening. Over years now, thousands are killed, millions are displaced. Across the Sahel, 2.5 million people displaced. So this is a very dramatic humanitarian situation. They are human beings. They expect to live a normal life. So are we aware of that? How do we feel when we hear this kind of terrible news coming from Africa? Why this kind of terrible things are not making headlines in Europe? There is a problem. So let's pay attention. let's report about it. That's why we are using the World Watch List launch to raise awareness, to share news. I was in Mali in October and December. I was in Niger. We are traveling there to have first-hand information and testimonies to come and share. We are expecting churches and Christians, audience, all well-minded people in Europe to continue to pray for Africa, for the people, the victims of that violence, but also to act, to provide more the needed support or aid. Because when 1.5 million people are displaced in only one country, so there's a huge need in terms of relief material, shelters, they need medicine, they need schools, they need food, they need everything because they have lost everything. So we need, we're expecting churches, Western audience to do more, to support organizations like Open Doors, so that this organization can provide more, because churches there are overwhelmed, because churches there are deeply affected, because churches there are expecting they need more now because of all this widespread Islamist insurgency, terrorism, attack, killing people on almost on daily basis. The churches there are very fragile. The churches there needs to be strengthened so that they can stand firm in the midst of this violence. They can continue to stand despite the dramatic situation they are facing. But also, we want audience in Europe to be aware and to also contact their government, to put pressure on their local representative, MPs, member of the parliament, so that they can put pressure on their government, so that the Western government can use their power, their position, to put pressure on the countries in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Nigeria, to provide the well-needed protection for the vulnerable communities, to provide more doses to provide relief material to this community.
Thank you for sharing this information about the situation, and we would invite everybody to share this video with your friends and also to pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters in Africa. Ilya, one final question. Here in Western Europe, we are very much under the spell of Corona and of the COVID infections right now. We hear that this has a lot of effect directly and indirectly on Christians, especially the aid situation, the food situation, and also food distribution among persecuted Christians. What are the special problems for Christians when it comes to the COVID crisis?
Well, we have seen since this pandemic has started, how the lockdown, the travel restriction measures have been used for terrorist group to attack and kill vulnerable communities. Because during the lockdown, the pandemic has added more pressure on already vulnerable communities. People displaced by violence, people already attacked and fragilized by violence. But during the lockdown, they were forced to stay at home, not to display, to go somewhere, but only to be attacked and eventually killed. And we have seen that how in a number of countries, people are taking advantage of this to stigmatize the Christian community, to refuse the aid, to share aid to them, to provide really needed aid when they really need it, whether from the government, whether from international NGOs, they refuse. Local communities, local leaders at community level, they refuse to register a Christian community so that they can't get aid. So that's the situation. The pandemic has added more pressure on already vulnerable community, particularly religious and Christian minority.
Thank you so much, Ilya. It's so good to get first-hand information from people who are living themselves under such situations. Is there any additional message you would like to share with our viewers?
Thank you very much for giving that opportunity. We really appreciate the attention given to that dramatic situation, and we're still calling for the audience in Europe to pay attention, to be aware, to continue to pray. We really need the communities in Africa, they really need that attention. And each time we have the opportunity to go and share with them, we are telling them how concerned the Christians are in Europe, and they are praying, and they are providing support and help for them, and they are really grateful for that.
Thank you very much. I think this is something we can all take away. As I said before, let's share this video and let's pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters. Not only in Africa, but in the whole world. Their number is rising and Open Door is trying their best to improve their situation. Thank you very much.